How often after finishing a game have you felt the need to replay it? Not just stay in the world a little longer, not just try a different ending, but truly start over. How often have the credits rolled, you've been kicked back to the main menu and you immediately clicked New Game? It doesn't happen often, does it? Today, we're talking about The Witcher 2: Assassins of Kings, a game where at the same time, you change everything and decide nothing. When most people think about the Witcher franchise, they usually talk about the first or the third game, and that makes sense. The first game is the beginning, the starting point. The third game is the one that went mainstream, big, where the series found its widest audience. I don't need to explain what The Witcher 3 means to gaming, right? But the second game, it kinda got lost between these two giants. And logically so, if you're new to the series, why would you roll back to the second installment? You either start from the beginning or skip straight to the third. Why bother? The first game scares people off with dated graphics, and the second, well, why play it when you can jump into the third with zero knowledge of the world? I know, I did the same thing. But what if I told you The Witcher 2 isn't just underrated, it's better than the third in ways that matter? The Witcher 3 is big horizontally, more land, more space. The Witcher 2 is big vertically, more layers, more consequences, more weight. One lets you wonder, the other presses down on you. What if this game demands from you not just attention, but patience, skill, and genuine engagement? And it shows you the most dangerous monsters in their natural habitat. Not neckers, not drowners. Humans. Specifically humans doing politics. Because politics, that's where the real monsters come out to play. Yes, The Witcher 2: Assassins of Kings is a game about politics, schemes, and intrigue. Monsters and beasts here are just the backdrop, the seasoning to the main dish. Before we jump into this brilliant, underrated game, a quick note. I know not as many people played the second Witcher as did the third or even Cyberpunk. So here's the plan. In the first half of this essay, I'll try to sell you on the game. No spoilers, just my impressions and a tease of the story. I won't go further than the prologue. And yes, there is a twist there, but since it's right in the title, I think you'll forgive me. The second half will be full of spoilers. I'll dive into the sides of the conflict, Geralt's role in all of this, and my favorite faction, Nilfgaard. Yes, at some point, I'll switch to the dark side and start defending the Empire. Maybe I've lost it, or maybe this is just a second opinion you didn't ask for. So welcome to the continent, with all its twists, backroom deals, grey morality, and the bitter aftertaste of its finale. From the very first minutes of The Witcher 2, two things stand out. The game looks great, even today, and it's much, much hotter than the third game. If you're used to complaining that CDPR can't make challenging games, that The Witcher 3 was easy even on higher difficulties, that Cyberpunk can be played with one hand only, I challenge you, play Assassins of Kings on hard. Your opinion will change fast. The Witcher 2, even on normal, showed me the death screen more often than the game itself. Chapter 1, dead. Chapter 2, still dead. This game constantly demands that you use every mechanic. You can't just upgrade Verl and spin through enemies. No. You need to switch signs, lay traps, drink potions, throw bombs, and constantly reposition. Every fight is tense. Every enemy is a challenge. Numbers matter. Attack patterns matter. And your gear actually matters. The Witcher 2 wants to feel realistic. You can't drink potions mid-fight. Just like Geralt in the books prepares beforehand, you have to brew potions, craft bombs, gear up, and then head out on a quest. Every fight demands that you use every tool at your disposal. The game tells you right away, think, engage your brain, adapt. And that philosophy extends beyond combat. There is no fast travel, no road. You walk everywhere. Want to be efficient and not backtrack 5 times? Memorize the map and complete multiple quests in one area. Gather this, talk to that, kill this one, bring it all to the next stage. There is no open world, just several maps, labyrinths of houses, forests, and caves. But it's enough. The lack of an open world doesn't distract from the main story. Every location is packed with just enough quests to keep things interesting and varied. The plot feels tense, concentrated, and tight. Quests can be easily missed, overlooked, or failed, and you won't even know it. Here's an example. In the very first area, I naively ran past a military camp, went from point A to point B without stopping or talking to anyone. By chapter 1, I met a woman who simply refused to speak to me. Turns out I could have picked up an item earlier that would have unlocked the dialogue, but I can't go back now. The moment is gone. See what's happening here? Replayability is built into everything. Sometimes to see a fun scene, sometimes to solve a mystery, sometimes just to make the story easier. You never know how much your choice will affect the game later. Maybe not at all, maybe a little, or maybe it'll lock away half of the content. I'm not kidding. At some point, you'll face a seemingly minor choice, and if you pick wrong, you lose a whole branch of the game. Let me put it this way. Most games are like a main road with side paths. You can veer off, complete side quests, and return to the main game. The Witcher 2 is more like a tree. You jump onto a branch, and that becomes your story. Another branch exists, you're just not on it. You picked a side, and now you're moving in that direction. Sometimes your actions can cut off a branch entirely. And the real kicker? You'll never know what you could have done differently unless you check a guide. Remember the flowchart in Detroit Become Human? It's kinda like that, except you don't get to see the chart. The game expects you to be fully engaged and committed to your choice. You picked a path on your own, consciously. Then you'll face the consequences, but not right away, so you won't be tempted to reload. Every victory feels earned, every level up hard thought. The Witcher 2 is an RPG where the developers tried to replace role with real. I failed quests, made wrong choices, but every battle was so brutal that replaying the entire game felt easier than reloading a save from an hour ago. The Witcher 2 gives you 2 options: replay from the scratch or live with your mistakes. And both work.
Fucking idiot actually went in. I got him into this mess. I'd better get the fool out.
So let's dive into the story, a quick synopsis of where we find ourselves the moment the game loads. We're in the war-torn kingdoms of the north. As if the looming threat of the all-consuming Nilfgaardian Empire wasn't enough, the north is also tearing itself apart. King Demavend has recently been murdered. A year ago, Geralt saved King Foltest of Temeria from an assassination attempt, and in return, Foltest made us an offer we couldn't refuse. Now we're his bodyguard, his lucky charm. Together with Triss Merigold and our own shattered memory, we follow him everywhere. And right now, we're in the middle of a siege. Foltest has come to reclaim his illegitimate children from Baroness Lavalette, who holds them hostage in her castle. But wait, we're not storming the walls. We're locked in a dungeon. Something went very wrong, and we've been detained. We don't know what yet. That's for us, the players, to figure out. Our interrogator is Vernon Roach, commander of a special forces unit, a scout, a patriot, calculating, blunt, and very sharp.
Vernon Roach, Special Forces Commander for the last 4 years, servant of the Temerian King, responsible for the pacification of the Mahakaman foothills, hunter of elves, murderer of women and children. Twice decorated for valor on the field of battle.
Yorveth, a regular son of a whore.
3 days have passed since the siege, and we need to reconstruct the events. When Geralt drifts into memory, we play through a flashback. When Roach asks a question, we snap back to the interrogation room. We can't influence the core setup here, but even in this prologue, we can take actions those results we'll see later. From the very first moments, The Witcher 2 declares its core principle, action and consequence. Here's the action, the castle assault 3 days ago. Here's the consequence, the dungeon. And it's going to be like this for the entire game. So we storm the fortress, test the game mechanics, and meet a few key characters. The prologue is our sandbox, a sandbox where you'll see this screen a lot. We successfully take the castle, defend against a dragon, yes, there is a dragon, and finally reach what Foltest came for, his children. But it was all a trap, an ambush for Foltest, another assassination attempt, this time successful. Two King died in 2 months, and we're the prime suspect. Who framed us? Who benefits? Who is the killer? Where did he go, and why in hell he is so enormous? Vernon Roach asks us almost all these questions, and we decide to join forces to track down the assassin and bring him to justice. Roach out of loyalty to king and country, us to clear our name. The prologue is over. Ahead lie 3 chapters packed to the brim with a cascade of actions and consequences, genuine moral gray areas, monster contracts, and intrigue, and more intrigue. Every time the game gives us a crumb of information, 2 more questions follow. Someone always wants something from us, is constantly trying to use us, manipulate us. Every character here is layered with their own motives and hidden agendas. In this way, The Witcher 2 feels a lot like Phantom Liberty, only where that DLC was about choosing who to betray, here we're genuinely choosing who to help. At the end of Act 1, we face a pivotal choice. Which road will we take? Which storyline will we see? And which events we will influence? The other path develops in parallel. Events, negotiations, meetings, and preparations happen there too. But we're not part of them. The other side holds answers to our questions, but to get them, to see the whole picture, yes, you have to replay the game. And you will get an absolutely different experience, a whole other side of the conflict, a completely new perspective on the story. It's practically a different game. The Witcher 2 is a game you need to play at least twice, and it's worth it, for both its story and its gameplay. So I hope I've sold you on the game if you haven't played it yet. From this point on, the video contains spoilers. Now let's talk about what this game is really about. The impossibility of neutrality, the machinery of politics, and why every faction, including the one you probably think are the good guys, is playing you for a fool. What do we know about Witchers in Sapkowski world? They are boys subjected to brutal mutations at young age, created to serve humans and kill monsters. As a result, they cannot have children, do not engage in politics, suppress their emotions, and are guided by logic. Geralt of Rivia has managed to mess up all 3 things. And political neutrality is the central trial of Assassins of Kings. How can you stay neutral when the entire continent is dredged in civil war? How do you remain on the sidelines when everyone around you is pulling you into the games? When everyone, from non-humans to your own lover, is somehow involved in affairs of state? You can't. No matter how much we might want to just hunt some neckers or collect harpy feathers for some local weirdo, we eventually hit a point where we have to choose a side. Who to help, who to follow. That's our hero, that's our story. Geralt isn't a player in this war. He is a roping thug of war. It's only by the end that you understand Geralt is a tool. He is a little man who, no matter what choices he makes, can change anything fundamental. Real power has always been in other people's hands. We only make snap decisions to save someone in the moment. The bigger picture was decided long before Geralt drew his sword. We aren't the players here. At best, we are rooks on the board. Sure, we decide things, but only within our tiny sphere. In The Witcher 3, Geralt saves the world from the Wild Hunt on a grand scale. In The Witcher 2, he can't even save one kingdom. We can side with Roach and ride under the banner of the Blue Stripes. We can join Yorweth and Scoia'tael. But at the end of the game, after all our deeds are tallied, we see the same conclusion: Nilfgaard advances. We can't change this. No matter how we shuffle the deck or roll the dice, Nilfgaard marches on north. That fact is immutable. But let's talk about the Empire a little later. First, let's unravel this nest of vipers. On one side, we have the Northern Kingdoms, a patchwork of disparate territories, each feudal, each with its own king. They are constantly at war, fighting for power and influence. The kings, bastards rotten with money and power, each with his own special vice. Their lands are lawless. Peasants starve and die, are executed without trial, conscripted, stripped of their supplies, their children, their women. Your only choice is to try and survive quietly or become another bandit who steals, kills, and rapes. And the kings? They wage war, murder, and plunder. Some do it with a twisted sense of honor. Some are on the brink of madness, and some are just raving bigots who hate non-humans while keeping an elf pregnant with their child as a hostage. Wow! These kings are two-faced, wild, and laughably paradoxical. Different crowns, same rod underneath. Take Foltest, for example. Mighty warlord, ruler of Temeria, a man who can manage an entire kingdom except his own bedroom. The same king who had a relationship with his own sister. Honestly, how many times are we supposed to untangle your family tree? Or let's take King Hanseld of Cadwin, who distrusts magic but hands nearly all his power to his necromancer advisor, a man of honor who slaughters innocent soldiers and assaults women as collateral damage. Oh, and I'm still waiting for at least thank you for lifting 2 curses and saving his life. Ungrateful swine. And then there's Radovid, a psychopath slowly losing his mind. Even in this game we see the first glimmers of his insanity. He has very little screen time in Assassins of Kings. But what can I say? Nice bandage, Philippa. And we can choose to follow Roach, who's fanatically loyal to this very system.
Worst case scenario, you'll suffer through it, go back to your cell, and tomorrow they'll publicly gut you, skin you, and hang you.
Just like that? For nothing?
No, for Temeria.
Sounds good to you? On the other side, we have the Elven resistance, the Scoia'tael, and here's where the things get complicated. Yorweth is not a great leader. He's impulsive, thinks like a teenage idealist, reacts instead of plans. His empathy extends only to his own fighters. Every other elf is either with him or against him. At his core, he's just a bandit and a terrorist.
What happened here?
The people of Flotsam let you slay their commandant, but they refused to help our women. They stood and watched as our women burned alive.
Sail away, and I'll burn these sluts alive!
We sail. Our women are prepared to die.
Yorweth is a rebellious child in the body of an ancient elf who's helping a witcher to kill kings and didn't even realize he was the one being played. Yorweth thinks he's using Letha, but Letha is the one pulling the strings. But Yorweth is also a true believer. He is fighting for survival in a world that wants to eradicate his people. His methods are brutal because his options are limited. The North has given elves nothing but pogroms and ghettos. Is it any wonder they've taken up arms? And for the first time in centuries, a real purpose emerges. Beyond the endless killing, a true leader appears among them, Saskia, who can unite all non-humans and humans and forge something new. That they're fighting for is simple: land, their own kingdom, a place where they won't be hunted. The problem? They want to claim it from the kings of the north. Those very kings I just described. Taking land from them? You could almost call it justice. And honestly, the plan isn't terrible, and it could actually work. But there is another side to this mess: the sorceresses. They formed the Lodge to become the Grey Cardinals of the continent. They want to weave their own intricate webs, calculating power, moving pawns. Somehow they decided the North would be better off if they ruled it from behind the curtain. The problem? They're terrible at it. The grand plan to guide the North towards stability falls apart at every turn. They help Letha kill kings, believing they're using him, never realizing he's using them. Let's look at them a little closer. Take Philippa Eilhart, for example. Brilliant, ruthless, and so arrogant she can't see she's being played. And by who? By her apprentice.
That's not all. They got Triss because of Cynthia.
Cynthia?
She lied to you.
Sheila de Tankerville, the genius who ordered a king's assassination without even trying to hide her identity, so everyone involved knows exactly who the client is and openly talks about it. And of course, Sabrina Glevisic, who managed to incinerate 2 armies and had the foresight to curse a king as she died, but didn't have the foresight to run away? Girls, do you remember you are sorceresses? Here's the hard truth. If your plans fail every single time, if you constantly have to sacrifice yourself or your sisters, if you spend decades working towards a goal and still fail the mission, you're not strategists. If you're constantly just adapting and reacting to circumstances, that's not strategic thinking. The sorcerers wanted to form a secret government and rule the North. Instead, in nearly every ending, there is a massacre of sorcerers. And finally, we have Letha. Letha pursues his own goal, which we only learn at the very end. He wants to rebuild the School of the Viper, and he needs resources and territory. Letha, too, is supposed to remain neutral, but he doesn't dive into politics for ideological reasons. He does it out of cold, hard logic. He doesn't hate Geralt. He doesn't even really want to fight him. He is a perfect foil, a witcher just like Geralt. He's equal in strength and skill. They understand each other perfectly. Both are tools. Both broke their neutrality. The difference? Geralt stumbles into politics. Letha walks in knowing exactly whose hand is on his shoulder. The assassination weren't the Lodge idea. They weren't Iorveth revolution. They were Nilfgaard's strategy. Letha works for Nilfgaard. Whenever we or anyone else talks about Nilfgaard, we inevitably hear the same thing: the evil empire, slavers, invaders, and so on. But is Nilfgaard really that bad? Alright, I'm stepping onto shaky ground here. Before your hands start typing angry comments, let's clarify one thing. I'm not a political scientist, and I'm not analyzing real politics from our real world. I want to talk about a fictional world, with fictional kingdoms, fictional events, and a fictional social order. We're discussing a universe with sorcerers, elves, and vampires. I in no way want to project what happens on the continent onto what happens on Earth. So, imagine you live on the continent. You're most likely either a common peasant or a non-human. It's very unlikely you're a noble or part of the upper class. You're an ordinary peasant, craftsman, or merchant. Under those flags would you rather live? On one side, we have the northern kingdoms, thriving feudalism, power in the hands of nobility. You can be executed without trial or evidence. You can be conscripted into a war, robbed or raped. No one considers you. You're just a worker to be taxed. Your lords constantly change, yet absolute loyalty is demanded from you by all of them. On top of that, you're constantly attacked by monsters, robbed by bandits, and militias. And you can't do a thing about it. The Lord's word is law, even if it's the word of a madman. The vast majority of the northern kingdoms live in poverty. The population is neither cared for nor protected. You live in chaos, in a free as much as possible, but chaotic state. You are free to become a bandit. You are free to join a militia and engage in robbery and plunder, attacking people just like you. Your freedom lies in taking freedom away from others. On the other side, we have Nilfgaard. Minimal freedom but full-fledged order. Nilfgaard isn't a kingdom, Nilfgaard is an empire. The king of states that thinks in decades, not in seasons. Nilfgaard has a single unified authority and a strong army. Overall, Nilfgaard prospers. In Nilfgaard, there is no persecution of non-humans. As long as you live in peace and follow the law, you are as much a part of society as anyone else. If you are useful, you will always have work and security. Nilfgaard has courts. No one will execute or kill you with impunity if you're loyal. Conscription exists, yes, but it's regulated. You won't be dragged from your field on a lord's whim. The empire values its peasants and local workers. They are the empire's primary resource, and the empire understands that. People generally live better, longer, and safer lives. Once Nilfgaard annexes a territory, after the blood dries and the smoke clears, that territory lives in relative order. Now let me be clear. During conquest, Nilfgaard is brutal. War is brutal, villages burn, people die. The Empire's soldiers commit atrocities. We see this in the game. Nilfgaardian soldiers burn Temerian villages, execute prisoners and terrorize civilians during the invasion. The Empire puts some of them on trial for war crimes, yes, but that doesn't undo the horror. And here's what the Empire doesn't advertise. Order comes at the price of obedience. Cards works for the loyal, laws protects the compliant. But what happens to those who resist? To those who cling to the old ways, the local traditions, the cultural identity? Nilfgaard doesn't tolerate dissent. The stability they offer is real, but it's the stability of submission. So let's not romanticize this. Nilfgaard isn't benevolent, it's efficient. And efficiency, in the hands of an authoritarian state, can be just as dangerous as chaos. But here's the question. If you're a peasant in the north, watching your children starve while kings squabble over borders, do you care about cultural identity, or you just want to survive?
Lords will slaughter peasants because they didn't bow low enough. Is that the land you want to leave to your children?
No!
Never!
If the South can seize control of the territory relatively bloodlessly, it does so. Through networks of spies, hired assassins, and conspirators. When Emhyr captured Letho and Yennefer, they weren't tortured. They were treated with dignity. He didn't hide what he wanted from them. He offered them a deal, and they both agreed. Even though they had every reason to refuse him, they chose pragmatism. As long as they're useful, they will live. I'm genuinely amazed by such cold, calculated forethought. While the northern kings wave their fists, fight over another bay, and drown themselves in wine and fishtech, Emhyr acts clearly and deliberately, as befits a ruler who sees the ultimate goal and the whole picture. Emhyr does not put personal grudges above his duty as a ruler. The most important thing to him is the empire, more important than himself, more important than family, more important than anything. He genuinely wants to build a strong, prosperous system. Yes, with sword and a dagger, but he truly wants it. And compared to all the other kings and rulers, Emhyr looks like the only one who actually thinks more than one move ahead. Emhyr asks Geralt to return Ciri to him, not to kill her, but so she can rule. He thinks about the future. He understands power must be transferred. And what happens in the books? Emhyr decides to marry his own daughter to consolidate influence over Sintra, because he dreamed that Ciri's heir would become a mighty emperor. He intends to do a horrible, immoral, disgusting thing. But again, for the good of the Empire. And at the end of the book saga, when he is one step away from his goal and Ciri in his hands, he doesn't go through with it. He sees that his plan, however carefully laid, has failed. His daughter will not be his tool. So he makes the pragmatic choice. He lets her go, marries false Ciri instead, solidifies his influence in Sintra, and the deception is never uncovered. That is a magnificent character. Deep, interesting, multi-faced, smart villain. But is he even a villain at all? Or are we looking at Nilfgaard through the lens of an unreliable narrator who is simply supposed to hate him? Through Geralt's eyes, because Geralt has a vested interest in hating Emhyr. Geralt is not supposed to have children, yet he becomes Ciri's adoptive father. He is not supposed to take political sides, yet he always does, because he, like all humans, becomes attached and shows emotion. Maybe that's why we, playing as Geralt, never see Nilfgaard for what they really is. We see it through the eyes of someone who is already chosen a side. And in the end, that's what makes The Witcher 2 so brilliant. It doesn't let you stand outside the conflict, it backs you into taking a side. Knowing full well that your choice won't change the outcome. Nilfgaard will march, the North will fracture, and Geralt, no matter which path he takes, remains what he's always been, a tool in someone else's hands. And in one area, the second Witcher excels by a mile. The game forces you to think critically, to gather information, to doubt, and to move forward with incomplete knowledge. Because you can't know the truth by standing on only one side. And in a twist of cruel irony, the second Witcher replicates its own theme on the scale of a franchise. All the intricate plots and consequences born from our actions in Assassins of Kings ultimately lead to the Wild Hunt, where they have no effect at all. They are practically ignored in the third part. The game, much like the player experiencing it, shapes the moment but cannot redirect the tide of history. History doesn't care about your intentions, only your position. And maybe that's the point. So tell me, what was your experience with The Witcher 2 Assassins of Kings? Did you play it once, twice, 3 times? And how long did it take you to realize that you were playing one of the most interesting games in the series, with your hands tied from the very start?
Hope I'm not interrupting. Pretty warm for this time of year.
It is colder usually, isn't it?
The mages must be up to something.
Oh, yes. They devise with experiments. Always changing the world. They'll botch it one day, and it'll be the end of us, I tell you.
I shudder to even think about it.